That's the colour that Lizzie is yellow.
Like the Simpsons. Like the Simpsons. Homie! Lisa needs braces! Dental plan! Dental plan! Lisa needs braces!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Gigs and Big Show. I'm Dan.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joe.
And Lizzie on the knobs. Hey everyone, I hope you're awesome. Thank you all for joining us today. It's going to be a big show today. There's a lot to squeeze in. We're going to be having a look at the 4-cable method at connecting noise gates and volume pedals into your rig.
Yes, sir.
I've spent literally minutes on this today. And actually, no, I've been a good boy. I've done diagrams and everything. And we're going to play Follow the Bouncing Bald Man. So
I am proud of you, to be fair. You said you had a doctor's appointment at 3 and the rest of us were freaking out that you weren't going to get here. But
we were ready to go at like 2 in the afternoon. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's brilliant. How are we doing, Lizzie? Who do we have on?
Hello. We have T-Stone777, not able to catch the live stream today, but we'll see it later this evening.
So he's not on.
No, but he wants to be.
He wants to
really
be.
Meta.
So he's commented. That's
he's here
wild.
in spirit.
And he's wishing all the best.
Thank
to the
you.
crew
Well, that's
and-
lovely. Thank you.
We've got Simon on.
Hey, buddy.
We've got Gaz Williams.
Hey, buddy.
What are you on?
Michael Gilberto.
You too, Lizzie.
Music Therapy Laz.
Oh,
Hey
lovely.
now.
Hey, dude.
All of you legends. We have Howard Sinclair, who is asking if we are going to be at Birmingham Guitar Show this year, which
It's soon, isn't it?
it is
End
very
of the
soon.
month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not going there this year with great sadness. I don't even know if TPS is going. We were meant to be doing something there, but we probably will.
You'd love to make an appearance.
Yeah.
We've got Brian Carpenter. Good morning, lads. And
Yo,
Lizzie.
hello. Hey.
Square Wave Symphonies. Good afternoon, everybody. So, yeah, lots of lovely people.
Brilliant.
Hello,
well,
hello,
welcome,
hello,
everyone.
hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay. What do we do? What do you want to do first?
What do you want to do first?
Well,
So go to pedals?
let's have a look at a couple of pedals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of slimmer pickings this week because obviously NAMM's just happened, so we've had a big old NAMM push.
Yeah.
So we thought some of the pedals we're covering are ones that we've maybe missed out on, maybe ones that haven't. Some of them have got loads of coverage, but some of them maybe haven't got the coverage they deserve.
Okay. Well, let's have a look then. Let's have a look.
Should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Here we go. So this is the Frog pedal from Fruit Effects. It's a collab with Jordan Wav.
Hi everyone, I'm Jordan Wave, and I am honored on behalf of myself and Fruit Effects to introduce to you the Frog pedal. The Frog pedal is based on an original version I made back in 2020, which generated a bit of online buzz. The Fruit Effects Frog pedal is an updated version of the Frog pedal with more features and a voice suited to work with guitar, bass, and synthesizers. For starters, it has a volume knob, which was noticeably absent on the original version. It also has a frog knob, which sets the sensitivity of the frog filter. This can adapt the voice to louder or quieter pickups, but no matter what instrument you're using, you can use this knob to make subtle changes to the character of the frog effect. Turned all the way up, you get a nice, rich, smooth frog texture with a pronounced filter. Think bullfrog.
Was a bullfrog. What a good. That is awesome.
Isn't that killer?
I absolutely love that. It's like, do you remember the old synthwah by
Digitech.
Digitech.
You had it on
Yes.
the board for years.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that except cooler.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have a
So
guess how much it is as
Oh,
well.
it's barely anything. It's hilarious.
Really?
£123.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I'm in.
what-
I'm
so-
in for 123 quid.
Yeah.
So
banging, right?
Octave
amazing.
down, 2 octaves down.
Correct, sir.
And then-
Seriously.
So that sub, you've got like an octave
And you can-
down, and then you've got the ability to change the filter character. So it's one of those things that's like really simple, but you could get a lot of mileage out of it.
Wow.
Very cool.
And on the
right?
face of it, you're like, it sounds like a frog, but it's actually really cool.
No,
Yeah.
that's
It's actually really cool.
if it wasn't called the frog pedal and it was called the Bootsy Collins Freak Out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would be
Yeah.
yeah.
But put some
because
delay
someone
after it, space-based.
They were at a party, they were playing it, someone got drunk and went, sounds like a frog.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
so right.
how it was named.
Yeah, you're
But
so
great,
right.
right?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's fabulous. I'm in.
That's
I'm
pick
in.
number one.
Do you know where you can get them from?
The internet, I
From
believe.
Okay.
Fruit Effects website directly. I don't know
Okay,
if
they're
they
only
stopped.
direct.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm in.
Cool.
Sequence Scene says Kermit is crying. And Tom K. Brown says 10 out of 10 best frog.
Best frog. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side? Follow me.
That was touching.
That was great.
Next pedal.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to say on that, really.
No,
Well, you lot. Next up, so this came out at NAMM.
Right.
So Warm Audio have done a collab drive with the YouTuber Fluff, Ryan
Oh.
Fluff Bruce.
Yeah.
So it's a drive pedal, and it sort of can be anywhere from like a tube screamery pushing your amp to like a whole preampy pedal in one box.
Okay.
Should we hear it?
Let's have a listen.
It rocks.
Let's see how they sound.
Does he play a clean tone?
Never.
Right. Because I don't know what
No,
that's doing.
he doesn't in this video, but the other videos I was looking at, he does start with the clean tone first. So I think that is all the pedal.
That is all the pedal.
That isn't the. There's a video with like Anderton's that he shows the clean tone first, and it sounds very similar.
'Cause I think
I'm
that's
gonna
direct,
assume,
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to assume that's the pedal.
That's direct.
I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a really cool overdrive pedal. Really, everything Fluff does, I think, sounds incredible.
Just really well done.
Yeah, the enclosure's cool as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
See, it's sort of like a sloped thing.
Yep.
But again, Fluff doesn't do.
Oh, show me the back panel again. Show me the back panel.
So we've got a noise gate
Oh, yeah.
and then
Okay.
a voltage boost,
Ah.
and then you like that?
I do.
And then we've got like a pre and post EQ, so you can sort of
Yeah.
select where the EQ sits.
Right.
Like a low push / classic, and then general sort of EQ stuff. But I think it
Nice.
sounds great. I mean, Warm Audio don't do stuff by halves, and Fluff doesn't do stuff by
No.
halves.
And that
No.
right there is a perfect segue into today's.
Well, it is
Main
the perfect
event.
segue.
You like that?
I just, there are opportunities I feel that were missed
Yeah.
for Fluff. You know,
Yeah, I'm thinking of what I can say live.
Well, like, you
really.
know, Muff is the most obvious,
well,
right?
no, Fluffer Drive, the Fluffer.
Fluffer. He fluffed it a bit, is what you're saying. Do you know Mr.
I don't.
Fluff?
I don't.
Fluff
no.
Flufferson?
I don't know.
He seems
no.
like
But
a
it's
cool
a-
brother, man.
I mean, it's really interesting. Those pedals that are voiced specifically for a heavy tone. For me, it is one of the hardest things to get right.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
When I hear designs by James Brown, who designed the 5150,
Yeah.
and his range of pedals, the
what they're
really
called?
heavy pedals.
Yeah.
Amp tweaker.
Amp
Amp
tweaker.
tweaker, thank you.
For me, are some of the absolute pinnacle.
Yeah,
high
amazing.
gain
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Brian Wampler does some really great high gain stuff, but it's I think overdrive, is it's tricky to voice, but it's not. We know what we're doing with overdrive and clean boost, but distortion, because the harmonics that are created, it's a hard thing to get right.
It's so on a knife edge, right?
Yeah.
Between this is incredible and this is
And
awful.
yeah, completely. And then it's like the controls, you've got to be able to dial between, guitars that have got low output pickups and high output pickups, because most of the guys who are going to be doing the heavy thing, they're going to have, the higher output, but you can't.
Assume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So no, it's cool. I'd be really interested in hearing that.
Yeah, I think it sounds
Yeah.
mega.
Nice. Well done. Well done,
got-
gentlemen.
2 more offerings to
Yep.
show you.
Yep.
So firstly is from our friend Matt at Blind Panic Devices.
Oh, cool.
And this is the bad signal.
Which is a love letter to an old HRT television. Did you ever get a HRT television and put a magnet to it and it made all the colours go all weird?
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah? This is what that is a love letter to.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's better if you hear it first and then we talk about
All
it,
right.
to be honest.
New pedal day courtesy of Blind Panic Devices.
Okay.
You get that?
No, I don't. What is doing the noises? Because there were 3 other pedals I saw.
Yeah.
So that was basically, essentially, it's a tremolo / ring mod
Tremolo / ring mod. Okay.
into a, what's the classic delay chip? The 2390.
PT22, the PT2399.
Yep.
Yep.
Envelope controls on everything. Completely individual ring modulator design that's not based on anything else, that's on a really weird, rare, obsolete chip.
Okay.
Everything from really smooth to really choppy tremolo to out of space, weird ambient sounds.
Okay.
So it's just sort of your subtle, always on kind of thing.
I'm gonna have to watch it, because I don't have really any idea of what it's doing.
It's very much one of those pedals where I feel like it's very easy for it to do very noisy things,
Mm-hmm.
but there's quite a few of the demos I've seen that are a lot more subtle, and you can do really interesting things with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I guess for me, things like that, I just want to know if there's music in it.
yeah, sure.
Sometimes you can find pedals that are a lot of fun, but pedals that unlock something.
Mm-hmm.
I think a good example of that was like last week when we were talking about the Rainbow Machine.
Oh,
People think of the silly noise that you can make with the magic feedback loop control, but there's also a really wonderful chorus in there if you dial it in a certain way. And I think it's
Amazing.
that
Great.
sort of
amazing.
Yeah, a great modulated delay and all kinds of stuff in there. If you
It's like, and the whammy is the same. I mean, obviously everyone knows the Tom Morello thing with the whammy, but stick it on detuned,
the detune's
Totally.
and you have
Chorus
one of the
is
best chorus
gorgeous,
sounds
yeah.
ever. Actually, in the Keeley,
octopi.
the Octopi,
Yeah.
and it does all that stuff. But I love it for that just subtle detune thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So
yeah,
great.
the detune in the whammy is one of
Amazing.
one of the
Iconic.
best.
Yeah.
Cool. I have one more thing that
Go
I
on
want
then.
to talk about.
All right, let's
that
talk about it.
Isn't particularly
okay?
new. Yeah, I feel like this is the time to tell you all that I want to talk about the Big Muff 2. Because we weren't on air when that sort of come out, and I feel like it's just an interesting talking point, really.
Okay.
And I'd like to know your
so-
view on it, what you think of it.
Okay.
I'll show the people a clip,
Yep.
and then let's get into it.
Actually, and if you're watching, let me know what you think of the Big Muff 2. I'd be very interested. All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Today we are checking out the Big Muff 2, and we're going to see if it dooms.
Professional, very professional fade.
Well, we love a fade out, don't we?
Yep.
High budget in this program. Yeah, your thoughts really? We were talking earlier, and I don't feel like we've even spoke about it really in the office.
I think it's a great story.
Yeah.
It's a great story, and it's a cool sounding Big Muff, and I think even if you're a fan of the Big Muff, owning that as a part of the history and a part of that story, discovering the schematic, and it's like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, was it the Paranormal series that Fender did, where they did like a jazz bass with P pickups, and they did a lot of...
Okay.
The Marauder and the Rascal.
Was it called the Paranormal? Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that, in that it's like this lost design that it wasn't used for anything in the end, but it was like randomly discovered, and then they've put it into production, and I think it sounds amazing. I think it's one of the best Muff sounds personally.
So I'm a fan of Big Muffs, and I have a whole bunch of them, and they all do certain things, and I would have to get that one and have a listen and try it out. I'm wondering why it never went to production.
Sure.
Because it's a dual op amp design, that a bunch of them. It's the cascading gain stages of the Big Muff that make it what it is. So I'd be like, because hearing that, Les Paul, I don't know what the sound is like. It's a produced track.
Yeah.
I want to get my hands on one.
Of course.
But I think, obviously it sounds great, and it's a wonderful story. I think it's testament to Josh Scott,
100%,
that he is so into this, and he's so into the romanticism around pedals.
Yeah,
because the sounds that these things made changed the world.
100%.
So this is why we're all here and doing stupid things like YouTube shows, going, "Hey." Because that's what pedals have done, right? And I think Josh has taken that further than just about anyone.
100%.
Yeah. And it's like, can you imagine how excited he must have been just rooting through all that junk, and there's like, hey, what's this?
Yeah.
It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
I honestly teared up a bit when he's like, I didn't realize anyone cared about it.
Yeah. Right. What's his name?
I can't remember his name. I was trying to...
I think it's Bob something.
The guy that designed it. They went into his house. You've seen the footage of Josh Scott going into his garage and stuff.
Yeah, right.
And he's just like, I didn't realize that anyone really cared about the Big Muff. And you're like, you have no idea that you changed guitar forever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so Brian Carpenter said, as I understand it, the schematic of the pedal was lost, which was the reason they never went back into production. Josh uncovered it in a basement.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a really cool documentary about it and stuff.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
I just thought it was a cool discussion point, because I feel like it came out when
it is really cool. As far as the actual pedal, standing aside from the romantic, fluffy woo-woo, I want to hear it. I want to get it
Of
in my
course,
hands and
of
have a
course.
play
And a bit with
and
it.
see where it sits in the pantheon of big muffs.
Yeah.
You know, but look, it's red. It's cool.
Yeah.
You know,
I like they've also done a big box and a little box
Yeah,
as well.
I think that's cool as hell.
yeah, nice.
So there's the big box, and then if I go, ooh, I've done like
Bear with caller.
Your call is important to us. Please hang on the line.
You can see, and they've done like a small box as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, dig it.
Yeah.
Really dig it. I got my old, you know, pie, big muff, and,
Excuse me,
and I will AB it. And also,
What is your favourite muff? Do you have a favourite variant?
yeah, the first one. So it's actually I don't own this. It's owned by my mate Brian,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got one of the original triangle knob.
Oh wow.
I mean, and you think, oh, it's just all, you know, it'll be the same. I've never heard anything like it.
Really?
It is crazy. And I've always loved that thing. And, you know, of course, all that stuff. And without the big muff thing, it's just,
Yeah.
you know,
It's the sound.
or, you know, actually, that's not that. Comfortably Numb is,
Yeah,
the, you know,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
is the
yeah.
classic one. But there are some absolute magic ones out there that you know, and unfortunately for me, they are old ones and they cost £1,000.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm really interested to hear it.
And
Sure, yeah.
the variation in them as well. It's not like you could just hop on Reverb and find a certain age one and go, that's going to sound great.
Yeah,
because
of course.
It's really
You
chalky
just don't know.
cheese.
What do
Same.
you think? What do you think, Lizzie?
What's your favourite muff, Lizzie?
So many muffs, so little time.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
We've got time.
That's right.
I think it's like a Gibson, right?
Yeah.
You don't actually know if it's going to be a dog
Oh,
or amazing
man.
until you pick it up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's bang on.
Yep, that's very good. Well done, Joe.
Look
Go
at
on,
me.
Joe.
with
Here's a little
brain.
chord for you.
Ah, you know me so well.
All right. All right. So we're going to get into it.
Let's do noise gate.
We'll try and be as concise as we possibly can, but we get asked this question all the time, and I want to be able to edit this out and do a, you know, post it as a separate thing. So when people email in, you guys can say, "Hey,
Watch this.
we've talked about it."
It's the man on the telly. He's going to explain it.
But before we get into it, just to remind everyone, we are drawing the winner of the pedal board tomorrow. 4 p.m. tomorrow, our time. We're
Last
drawing
chance.
the winner. Last chance, people.
That's quite tense.
Yep.
How are you doing it?
I'm going to put all the names in a sock.
A
Are you
sock.
doing it? I mean, are you doing like a video to do it, or are you posting it?
I don't know
You
yet.
haven't decided.
I don't know yet.
Stay tuned.
But we
Just wondering.
are also going to have we've had so many people enter, and it's been amazing. And we're so grateful. I'm going to give away a couple of other things as well.
Wait, what? Like Joe?
Daniel.
Win me.
You need to go away.
Yes.
Do I come with a lid
Do you come
and a
with a
bag
lid?
and a bag, or is it just me?
No, you got to buy the bag for
You
you.
gotta,
Sure.
your
Sure.
bags. An
You're
optional
bagless.
extra.
You're
Sure.
bagless.
Okay, Rod, let's get into it. We're going to have a look at the 4-cable method, noise gates, and volume pedals, and where you put them. Okay, this is my pedal board,
Wait, what?
which I have torn apart for this demonstration.
You're so brave.
If we can just go to the first image, Lizzie. So this is a classic pedal board setup in series, which means all of the pedals, your signal goes from right to left, and then out of the last pedal, we go into the front of the amplifier. Okay. Now I've got this on an Atom, but the idea is the same. And Lizzie, if we can go to picture number 2.
Yeah.
Right, picture number 2. So this is a close-up so that you can see in detail what's going on. So the guitar is going into the input of the Atom. We've got the pedals in the loops, and then out of the output, we're going straight into the input of the amplifier. It's what we've been doing since the dawn of time. It's what I still do, and I still love doing it that way. However,
go to a website you love.
Go on the website. However, for players that use amp distortion, there's nothing quite like it. Now, for me, why I love pedals is it doesn't limit in the same way that amps do, and I've got a whole bunch of distortion pedals that I use and love, but into things like Matchlesses and Princetons and things that are already on the edge. The difference with using the 4-cable method with an amplifier, using the preamp of an amplifier to get your distortion, you absolutely can still use overdrives and things in the front, but then it's what we're using after the preamp. So if we go back to that second close-up, so you can see these are the pedals in series, okay, going to the front of the amplifier. Now, Lizzie, if we can go to image number 3, and this is what we're going to have a look at to start with. This is called the 4-cable method. It's called the 4-cable method because we got one cable that goes into the pedal board, one cable that goes out of the pedal board into the front of the amplifier, one cable that goes from the effects loop send of the amp back to the pedal board, and one cable from the output of the pedal board back to the effects loop return. Now, we should really call it a 5-cable method because there's another cable going from the power amp to the speaker. But anyway, let's not get carried away.
Yeah. Cheeky
So
boy.
we call this the 4-cable method. And what does this do? If we go to picture number 4, Lizzie, this is going to be a close-up of what we're looking at.
Sorry. I'm clicking all over the place here.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, no, I'm not. What's
No?
happening?
It's all right, I'm
Hang
not
on.
right either.
Hang on. I'm there now. Sorry about that.
That's all right. All right. So do we have 4? Number 4 is up?
Yes.
All right. So this is what we're looking at. We're looking at how we break into the signal path of a switcher to include the preamp of an amplifier. All right. So we're going to come back to this image in just a second. So Lizzie, if you come back to us. So here we've got set up on the board. We've got my pedal board. I've got Victory V30 with a clean channel and a dirty channel and an effects loop. And then we're going to a speaker in the corner. And we can show the speaker. So I've got a little Bob Burt cab mic'd up, V30 in it. Very, very simple. Really, really simple rig. So we're going to start with a clean sound. So if you could just press that one for us and make sure the delay is turned off just so that we can hear. Right, there we go. So actually I'm going to turn this off for now. Right, so this is no effects on and the guitar going straight into the amp. Okay. Now we're going to go to the dirty channel of the amp. Okay, so we're not changing anything at the moment. We're just going to change from the clean channel of the amp to the dirty channel of the amp.
Are you ready?
If you wouldn't mind, sir.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Shredded. Listen to all that noise.
Listen to the noise.
Lord, what will we do?
All right, so we go back to the clean channel. But that sort of level of noise when you're dealing with dirty channels and effects loop and stuff, this is the nature of what happens. Now, one of the reasons that we like using the effects loop of the amplifier is specifically for the effects that we use after the preamp. So for example, if we go back, Lizzie, can we please go back to the second image? So this is our series pedal board, right? This is the effects going straight into the front of the amplifier. Now, if the amplifier is set up clean, we don't have any problem. It's all lovely. Okay. Lizzie, can we please go to number 4, please?
Yep.
In the 4 cable method, the reason that we use this is that if we have an effect like a delay going into the dirty channel, it's going to make the delay really dirty. Okay, so you can come back to us, Lizzie. So I've got the Victory V30 set up, and if we hit number 4,
Some sauce.
right? So this is the dirty channel of the Victory, and it's at the end of the signal path. Okay, so let's get some rockage. If you can turn the delay on for me.
Be my pleasure.
So this is the delay into the dirty channel of the Victory. It's actually it's really cool sound.
It is very cool.
But now, if you go to 3 for me,
I'm going to go to 3.
now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the delay after the preamp of the Victory.
Send it. Send it.
Send it, Daniel.
So, got one for us. So you can hear that instead of distorting the delay, we are delaying the distortion, right? That's the difference. We are not distorting the delay going into the distortion. We are delaying the distortion. So the distortion from the preamp is going into the delay, and we're delaying that. We have a lot more control. But it's really important to note that to do this, you need an effect that can handle the signal coming from your amp. This is hugely important. When we talk about effects loops, all effects loops are not created equally. Like, for example, the V30 and actually all of the Victory stuff, fantastic effects loops, and they work great with just about everything. So I've got a bunch of analog effects here. If you can turn on the, if we go to number foot switch 3, and then turn on the flanger for me. Bit of delay.
Bit of sauce.
And some slapback. Bit of slapback.
Send it.
Sending it.
Go on hybrid pick in.
Josh Smith, who I say.
So a good effects loop is actually super flexible. And there's a thing like analog effects don't work in the loops of effects. For a lot of effects, the good ones, they absolutely can. As long as they don't have a stupidly small headroom. If they're anyway decent, they can work fine. But in an effect loop like my Matchless, I mean, I've clocked 30 volts coming out of that.
Really?
And it's
30 volts? That's insane.
It is crazy.
That's silly.
Nothing on this board is going to work with it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
34.
Yeah.
That's
So
so
you
funny.
need to attenuate that before you can make it work with anything, because the way that the Matchless works and tweed amps and things like that, so much of the sound is created by the preamp slamming into the phase inverter of
Right,
the valve,
okay.
right?
So you need all that voltage.
You've got to
to-
have that to get that sound. And in those sorts of situations, that is what it is.
Of course.
You know, but amps like this, and not, I think the V30. This was this Guthrie's amp?
Or maybe
It was one of them. I'm not sure if it was.
the V30 or the V40.
Yeah, I
or
can't remember.
Yeah, no, I think it was the V30. But anyway, really fabulous gain sounds, and it's if you want to have a a sound that you can control, because obviously I love effects and all that stuff, but it wouldn't work for me using the gain from the amplifier and just plugging everything into the front. Yeah. Okay. So, Lizzie, if we can please go back to number 4. The way this works is I'm thinking of the preamp of the amplifier as I would any other pedal. Okay. So we are going out of the send, and in this case, we're using loop 4, right? So we're going out of the send of loop 4 into the input of the amp. Then the effects loop is actually the place where it splits between the preamp and the power amp.
I think this is really important.
It's hugely important. If you understand this, then you won't have any issue hooking any of this stuff up.
I just want to say that so many people try and visualize the effects loop as a tangible thing.
Yeah.
But it's actually a void. It's the back of one thing and the front of the other.
It's the end of one thing and the start of another. That's exactly right.
And if you see it as a void, if you see it as that, it makes more sense. But if you try and visualize the effects loop as a tangible thing, then
you're just going to get confused.
But I think that's like classic Fender amps labeling it as preamp out and power amp in.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Makes much more sense than effects send in return. But
yeah. Thank you, Hot Rod Deluxe.
Yeah.
So that the effects loop splits the preamp and the power amp. We go from, and Lizzie, I'm going to be testing you in a second on this. So we go from the send, the send of the effects loop is going to go back into the pedal board. So any effects that are before the preamp, before the split, go into the front of the amp. Any effects that are after the split, so we go from the send back into the board and then we carry on down the line. Any effects that are after that are effectively in the loop of the amplifier. So Lizzie, can we go to 4, please?
Yep.
So this should be the close-up of, and I think it's just the preamp. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just the preamp section so that you can see the connection going from the send of loop 4 into the input of the amplifier, out of the send of the amp, back into the return of loop 4 on G3. Now, whenever I turn on loop 4, the preamp of the amplifier is in loop 4. The other super important thing is that if you're using a switcher and you're putting your preamp in the switcher, you have to have the loop that you've connected the preamp in engaged on all presets. Okay?
The amount of emails we still get where people go, my amp's clean.
My amp's clean. I don't know what's going on.
None of the controls work.
Here's what happens. We're going to go to number 3.
Number 3.
All right. Now, this is with the preamp of the amplifier. Engage. Can you please turn off? So if you can see here, loop 4 is lit, right? So the preamp is loop 4. Now, if you turn off loop 4,
where did the source go?
All the source is gone. Oh, no. Because we have now bypassed the preamp. We are going straight into the power amp with no preamp.
Oh, God. Phew.
There we go.
Panic over.
It's at a time like this, I'm just glad we're not using a Mesa Boogie and they don't have a master volume and then we all die.
Oh, man. Yeah. That's a whole other thing. And this is why, like, okay, this amplifier has 2 separate master volumes and 2 separate preamp levels. So you can select your clean gain and select your overdrive gain and then balance the volumes up. It's not even clever, it's essential.
Yeah.
You know, it's common sense design for an amplifier where you want to use the preamp. And I think Martin Kidd, he really knows his overdrive sounds, getting that balance is really important. Okay, so now, Lizzie, if we can please go to number 5.
Yep.
We're going to have a quick talk about the noise gate. Where you're right, Coffee McCofferson?
Yeah, to apologise.
Okay, we're going to have a quick talk.
I've got the sniffles, Dan.
You okay?
I've got the sniffles.
All right.
When he brave.
So, we're going to have a quick talk about the noise gate. The noise gate's a really fascinating thing, and that it's very effective. It can affect things that you don't intend it to, but if you're using loads and loads of gain, so one thing about the way that I play, I don't tend to use loads of gain, and anything that I do, I want all the noise and whistles.
Changing lives.
All that stuff. So we get asked all the time, where do I put the noise suppressor in my signal path?
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of different places to go, but I find this works as well as any because A, it doesn't take up any other loops. You're using a little burp there. I don't know if you caught that.
Little burp.
A little bit of a burp. It's not using any other loops. You can put it in its own loop, but I find that this works great. So
all I was going to say was the only reason why you would do that is if you're using, say, a germanium fuzz or particularly
and you want the option to
sensitive
do
fuzz, then you don't really want that first because
Absolutely.
it's going to affect it.
Completely.
Otherwise, it makes sense for it to go first.
And in that sense, yeah, you can. But what you could also do in that situation is put a +2 in front of it.
True.
Switch that remotely.
Very true.
New from the Gig
Greg,
Rig +2.
Okay, so here we have. So if we can go to the board, here we have the NS2 noise suppressor. My guitar. Now, follow along closely, kids. Here's how this works. My guitar is plugged into the input. What this is looking at is any signal from my guitar is going to open the gate. That's why we call it a noise gate. The signal opens the gate, right? We have a loop in the noise suppressor, and that's the gate that opens, and then we have an output. Okay, so here's how the signal works. So Lizzie, if we can please go to number 5.
Number 5.
The guitar is going into the noise gate. The send is going into the pedal board, the start of the pedal board. Then it goes into the first pedals. We come out of effects loop 4, same as we were doing before, into the input of the preamp of the amplifier. Then we come out of the send of the amplifier. We go back into the return of the noise gate. Then the output of the noise gate goes back into the return of loop 4. So I'll say that again and try and follow along. Guitar goes into the input. This is looking for my signal, and then it's going to open the gate. Send goes into the input of the pedal board. That signal travels along looking for the loops. I come out of the send of loop 4 into the input of the amplifier, out of the effects loop send of the amplifier, back into the loop return of the noise suppressor, then out of the output of the noise suppressor, back into the loop return of loop number 4 and G3. Now, what happens when I play a note, the gate opens, and let signal travel into the board through any pedals that are there, comes out of the send into the amplifier. We've got signal happening out of the effects loop send, back into the board. So what's interesting is if I use a clean sound, if you go to 1 for me.
Oh, I've had you tuner. We're on 1 already.
Here's my clean sound. The noise gate isn't on. Turn the noise gate on. You don't really hear any difference.
No.
It's like, I don't need a noise gate.
Well,
However,
let's give some
let's
souths.
go to,
Oh my
there you go.
God.
There's my noise, and turn the noise gate on.
See ya.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
It's
Redonkulous.
like it's gone. Now, my signal is still traveling through. It's all open into the preamp, but it's waiting for me to hit the guitar so the gate opens. You ready? And you hear it go, whoom, right? But once I finish and I stop playing, it kills the noise.
Like that.
Can you turn the delay on for me,
Dan, it'd be
please?
my pleasure.
Okay, this is really important. Why did we put the noise gate, the return of the noise gate, back in before the delay? Why didn't we just have it at the end of the pedal board?
Because it would cut
Answer
the delay
me.
off.
It would cut the delay off.
Answer me now.
It's really important that the output of your noise gate is returned before your modulation effects. I only really want to put the noise gate in with gain effects.
Gate the gain and
Yeah.
then
Gate
let
the
the wet
gain.
stuff after.
But it's equally why it's so important to put it first, because if that was placed just in the effects loop, just through the input,
Yep.
you have to set it so high
It doesn't
that,
work.
that as soon as that level drops even slightly, it cuts off, and
Yep.
then you get that classic gated guitar sound that I know you hate
I can't stand it.
because it sounds like it's chopped, like
Yeah.
it's been edited.
Mm.
Whereas because you have to set that threshold so high because you're listening to the noise you're trying to get rid of, as opposed to just hearing what the guitar is doing.
That's right.
And then regardless of what you put in the loop, it reacts the same.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were to place that like without using the loop, everything you add in front of it changes the character and
Completely.
changes what the settings need to
Completely.
be. And then it never really works
Yeah.
as it should.
Yeah.
Whereas the fact that you can put that on and have a clean channel on and not hear a difference
Yeah, it's
is pretty
It's great.
miraculous,
It's great.
really.
Now I'm gonna set up a ridiculously heavy sound. So there's the if you can turn on the fuzz. So now foot twist number 2.
There it is.
Right. Now the noise gate is off.
I'll turn the delay off as well.
Turn the delay on.
You want the delay on?
I want
You're
all
a
the noises.
madman. You're
I want
a
all the noises.
madman.
So here. And
Phew.
That's with flanger
you
on as
ready?
well.
Shred it. Let's have that for breakfast.
I think we
And-
might have converted down to noise gates.
I
Ooh.
if I'm using it like for the heavy stuff, like
Yeah.
that is a crazy amount of gain, and I'd never use that much gain. But I've got a fuzz going into the front of the amplifier with the with the heavy channel, the distorted channel, then going into flange and delay. I mean, if we turn the noise gate off again,
Oh my giddy aunt.
I mean that's
What the hell?
It's quite
That's-
unpleasant, isn't
yeah.
it, Izzy? That's quite unpleasant.
Yeah.
so. Here we go, and
Miraculous.
now those effects are still on. They haven't changed. Those effects are still on.
Say what?
But the gate in the noise gate is closed because it hasn't been triggered by the input of the guitar, right? As soon as I trigger, yeah, so there we go. So we turned that nonsense off.
Turn that
Okay.
racket off, young man.
Ted, is that making sense?
Yes,
Ha-
100%.
Have I
I'm
been
following
very
you.
the only,
clear?
the only thing I
following you.
wanted to say was the easiest way to think about it is that if you remember that a send
Yes,
is an output
yes,
and a return is
an
an
input.
input,
That's
then
right.
then it's even easier to understand
perfect. I
because you
love
have
that.
to remember that what a send is and return. If you simplify it even further and remember
Mm-hmm.
we've got an output and input and all we're doing is going out to in, out to in, out to in.
Okay.
It's
Mate.
even simpler.
I love it. I love
My mate.
it. Okay.
I'm
now-
just a little heads up.
Yes.
We've got 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Okay. All right.
Still got it.
Last piece of the puzzle:
Oh no.
volume pedal.
Where do we put it?
Where do we put the volume pedal?
Gasp, I don't know.
And especially one of the things, if you got a setup like this, I am thinking about the noise gate actually, because I've got the new Victory coming, and I
Oh,
love that
yeah.
gain channel. So
Jake, it's a
no,
happening.
well let's
Live
see.
on air, happening.
Let's
Can you
see
believe it?
because I might not, I may not. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see.
I've known this man for nearly 15
But it's
years.
really
and
cool.
Maybe converted.
It's really cool. So, where do we put the volume pedal?
Heaven's Gate.
If you use a
Like that? Like that?
No.
So I did that?
If you use a setup like this where you're incorporating your preamp into a loop of your G3 or G2 or switcher, where do you put your volume pedal?
Tell me, man. Tell me now.
Right. So, Lizzie, if we can please go back to number 5. So this is the current noise gate situation, right? We can see how the loops before the preamp and the preamp itself are in the loop of the noise gate. Then out of the noise gate, we go back into all the other effects. If we can now please go to number 6. And this is where we're going to put the volume pedal. We're going to put the volume pedal between the output of the noise gate and the return of loop 4 in G3. So basically, the volume pedal is going to sit after the noise gate, but before the input to the rest of the effects post gain. There's a reason I really like this solution. If we just go to, I'll leave the noise gate on for a moment. If we go to number 3.
Number 3.
Yep, and just a little bit of delay for us.
Just.
Okay,
I've hit 3.
You went to the hidden preset.
What a silly Billy I am.
Okay, so here is the gain from the amplifier and my delay, right? It's very distorted, but because I'm using preamp gain, watch what happens when I roll the volume of my guitar. It cleans right up. So if I wanted to use a volume pedal to clean up my gain, I would have it at the start of the signal path, but I don't. I want to use it as a master volume. So the way that I'm doing that is I've got a more or less here, and this is my volume pedal, expression pedal here. So I'm now, let's see if we go back to number 6, I'm inserting the more or less between the output of the noise gate and the loop return of G3. So now what happens with that sound, Joe, if you could be so kind as to control the volume pedal for me.
Rock his treadle, sir.
Now, why I really like the volume pedal in this position is because I'm not changing the gain structure of the guitar, right? So if I go and I turn this down, the tone doesn't change, it just gets quieter. But when I turn bring the volume back, I still have delay trails and reverb trails and everything else that I want to do it. So for me, that makes the most sense of where to put the volume pedal.
I agree.
Yeah. And by doing that, by placing the loop of G3 by placing the preamp of the amplifier in a loop of G3 and having the noise suppressor at the front and the volume pedal from the output of the noise suppressor, I actually haven't taken up any more loops.
Totally.
So I've still, because I will use this all the time, the more or less as well, as far as the volume is concerned, it is spectacular because what I can then do is I can have the more or less as a boost. So if I turn up the toe position, so I can find that area that I was as there's my normal rhythm sound. And then
hit the solo, let's go! Ow, 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 there you go! Changed my life!
So I love that. It's magic. But because the headroom in more or less is designed to work with the matchless, so it's like 36 volts, and it's perfectly clean and silent. So whatever volume pedal that you use in the effects loop of your amplifier, you need to make sure that one of the things with effects loops in amplifiers is they are very impedance dependent, which is why having a long cable from some effects loops, from the return of some effects loops, send of some effects loops, you can hear a difference in the tone because they don't have a low impedance. If you stick a passive volume pedal in that situation, it's going to exacerbate that, or can exacerbate that if you've got an effects loop that doesn't have a very low impedance. So that's just one thing to look out for. You don't have that issue with more or less. And there we go.
Ta-da.
How we do? Do we have any questions, or is everyone just turned off?
No, there's some questions. I'm a bit nervous because there's still an image that we haven't.
Oh,
I haven't looked at.
so
Number 8.
go to 8.
Yeah.
Right. So here we go. This is the whole picture, and I've just zoomed out so that you can see everything. But that is the whole picture, and I've done it as high res as possible so that you can zoom in and have a look. But that tells you exactly how we've done it here, and hopefully that will help.
Sick.
We'll make the images available by post.
Yeah. You can print them
Print
out.
them out, and we'll post them.
So please don't promise that. Right, quick fire, 3
Yes,
minutes.
let's go.
Okay, from HP2 Watch. I'm trying to get my head around how to configure my G3 Atom for 3 tree last loops so I can run stereo on some presets and wet dry on others. Loop 6 is the Collider, loop 5 is the Mini Vent 2, and loop 4 is Jam Ripley Full.
Ripley Full, yep.
Gain stages, loop 1 to 3, and what about parallel?
Look, it's all there. To set up stereo in those last 3 loops, I think you mentioned, was using TRS cables. We go to great detail about this in the manual, but I think we'll do another show on TRS cables with the Atom and stereo because the Atom is such a powerful thing. And give us a favor, just go and grab the board.
Dan, it'd be my pleasure.
This will be the last time that we see the board before it's given away. And you'll see. Here we go. So the Collider in this board is set up with the stereo outs, and that goes to TRS cables that go into the back. So this is stereo. I think we've got the Astra is stereo, plug out effects is stereo. So we've got 3 stereo effects in the loop of this G3S Atom, and it's done using TRS cables. I won't go into it too deeply, but we go to great detail in the manual, but we will do another video on it because the stereo capabilities of the Atom with TRS cables is massive. Yep. So there we go. Yum, yum, yum.
Thank you.
No worries.
From E. White, just got my more or less. It really does make my tone better. Do you have any demos on how to use the OBNE expression ramper with the more or less?
Oh, that's a great question.
That's a great one. We should do that. We can do that.
Yeah. Okay, we can do that.
The ramper would allow you to do like a tremolo.
Yeah.
Oh, it's unreal. And using the sequencer out of G3 into the, oh man, it gives you just the most amazing things. So
we'll do something
like
that.
That's
a great idea. That's a great
definitely.
idea.
Thank you. From Nimrod, does the Gen X14 have 2 or 4 1000 milliamp outputs?
Has 2.
Has 2, but they are split. So, for example, if you've got an effect that you want to have a high current thing on, it takes, say, 600, 700 milliamp, 800 milliamp, but you've got another effect that you want to have a virtual battery on, you can plug in a second output and plug the virtual battery in, or you can plug in the isolator, the ISO4LC, onto the second output, and it gives you 4 more low current things, because it's rare that you're using crazy high current all the time. G3 needs 1,000 milliamps, so that's one of my outputs. But the second output I've got going to my my Kingsley, which is I think is next to you, the couplet. So I've got my second 1,000 milliamp output feeding this, and then I take the second tap off and go to a virtual battery that feeds my fuzz.
There you go.
It's fabulous. So yes, that's how that works.
Thank you.
No worries.
It's now time to say goodbye.
Are we done?
We are done.
Are we done? All right.
Ready?
Everyone, thank you all so much for joining us. Everyone, thank you all so much for signing up to win this thing. We're going to draw the winner tomorrow. It's very, very exciting. So please stay tuned, and we will tell you all who won
Tomorrow.
next week. No, we'll tell you all who won next week, because we have to give whoever wins. We've got to give them time to.
Oh, really?
We've got to give them time to come back.
Oh, yeah.
Go, I don't want it, actually.
I'm good.
I'm doing
I'm good.
SSR.
ASMR.
Yeah.
I did this thing on a video that I did because I've got really hairy arms. Right? So Lizzie.
Where's this going?
Lizzie, if
This
you
on
can
Only Dance.
put on, this is on Only Dance. If you can put on the pedalboard cam, and I was doing this, and it's called ASMR.
On Only Dance.
You like that? On
I
Only
do
Dance.
like that a
Go on,
lot.
Dan.
There we go. That's
Pay for that.
and
And
that's
on
how we
that
finish the
note-
show.
Pay for that.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.